Hello everybody and welcome to the video notes for Unit 2, Day 17. Today we're going to be talking about multiples and factors. Today's video is dedicated to Luna in 6A. Hi Luna. First, let's go over some vocabulary. Whenever you're thinking of factors, I want you to think of division. So go ahead and do a division sign right next to factors. And the factors of a number are all the numbers that divide into a number with, I'm going to do a little shorthand with no remainder. So for example, the factors of 8 are, I think to myself, what numbers can I divide into 8 evenly, right, with no remainder? 1 is always going to be a factor of every number, because any number can be divided by 1. I can also divide 8 by 2, because 8 divided by 2 is 4. I can't divide 8 by 3. I know I can divide 8 by 4, because 8 divided by 4 is 2. So there's 4. I can't divide 8 by 5. I can't divide 8 by 6 or 7, but I can divide 8 by 8. So every number has at least 2 factors. 1 is always a factor, and the number itself is also a factor, because you can always divide a number by itself and by 1. A greatest common factor is the largest factor that's shared by a set of numbers. Here's what I mean by that. In this example, it's asking us, what is the greatest common factor? Above greatest common factor, I want you to write GCF, because sometimes you'll see GCF, which stands for greatest common factor, instead of having to write it out fully. What is the greatest common factor of 12 and 18? Well, here's how we can find it. The first step is to list the factors of both numbers. So let's start with 12. The factors of 12. Well, I know that 1 is always a factor, so I'll put 1 here. And 1 times 12 is going to equal 12. So I can also divide 12 into 12. So let's leave that at the end here so we can leave some space. What else can I divide into 12? Well, after 1 is 2. Can I divide 2 into 12? Yes, I can, because it's an even number. And I think to myself, well, 2 times what number gives me 12? 2 times 6. So that means I can also divide 6 into 12. So I'm going to put my 6 over here. And then the next number is 3. Can I divide 3 into 12? Yep, because 3 times 4. And then I also have the 4, because 4 can also be divided into 12, because 4 times 3 is 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12 are all the factors of 12. These are all the numbers that I can divide into 12. The next number that we're doing is 18. So we're going to do the same thing for 18. We're going to list all the factors of 18. I know 1 is always a factor. And I know that the number itself is always a factor, because 1 times 18 is going to be equal to 18. So let's put 18 all the way out here, leave a little bit more space because it's larger than 12. And then let's check. After 1 is 2, can 2 be divided into 12? Yes, it can. And 2 times what gives me 18? 2 times 9. So I'm going to have a 9 is a factor. 9 can also be divided into 18. After 2 is 3. Can I divide 3 into 18? Yes, I can. 3 times what gives me 18? 3 times 6, or 18 divided by 3 is 6. So I know that 6 is also going to be a factor. Can 4 go into 18? No. Can 5? No. And then we already have 6 here. Alright, so I left a little bit of an awkward blank space, but that's okay. So that's this step A. Now let's do step B. Step B, it says to circle the common factors. So the common factors are the factors that are shared by both of these numbers. So the factor of 12, 1 is a factor. There's also a 1 here. 2 is also a factor. There's a 2 here and a 2 here. 3 is also a factor. I have a 3 here and a 3 here. So these are all common factors because they're factors of both numbers. I have a 4 here, but I don't have any 4s here, so I don't circle that. I have a 6 here, and I also have a 6 here, so I'll circle that. 12 here, no 12 here. 9 here, but no 9 there. 18 here, but no 18 there. So these are all the common factors between these two numbers, between 12 and 18. The last step is to place a square around the greatest common factor. So among all of my common factors that I've circled, we find which one is the biggest. Well, in this case, it's going to be 6. 6 is the biggest common factor, so I'll put a nice square around that. So my greatest common factor, my GCF, is equal to 6. So the greatest common factor of 12 and 18 is 6. Now that we've done this example, I want you to try on your own this one right here and find the greatest common factor of 30 and 50. Go through each of these steps, pause it, and try this one right here on your own. Go. Now you have tried this example on your own and you are resuming to check your work. So we're doing 30 and 50. Let's list the factors of 30. 1 is always a factor. 1 times 30 gives me 30, so 1 and 30. 30 is an even number, so I know 2 can be divided into 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15. So 15 is also a factor. Can I divide 3 into 30? Yes, I can. 3 and 3 times 10. So 10 is also a factor. Can I divide 4 into 30? Nope. Can I divide 5 into 30? Yes, I can. 5 times 6 is going to get me to 30. So these are all the factors of 30. Now let's do the factors of 50. 1 is always a factor. 50 itself is also going to be a factor. It's an even number, so 2 is going to be a factor. 50 divided by 2 is 25, or 2 times 25 is 50. So that's a factor. 50 divided by 3, well, you add up the digits. 5 plus 0 is 5. Can I divide 5 by 3? No, I can't, so 3 is not a factor. 4, nope, I can get to 48, but not to 50. 5, yep, because it ends in a 0, so 5 is a factor. And 5 times 10 equals 50, so 10 is also a factor. And 6, 7, 8, and 9. 6 doesn't work, 7 doesn't work, 8 doesn't work, 9 doesn't work. Okay, that's it. Alright, so I have an awkward blank space in the middle, but that's okay. Find the common factors. 1's always a common factor. 2, I have a 2 here. I have a 3, nope, no 3 here. I have a 5 here, and a 5 here. 6 here, no 6 here. I have a 10 here, and a 10 here. 15, no 15, 25, no 25, 30, no 30, 50, no 50 up there. So my greatest common factor, let's put a square around it, is going to be 10. So my greatest common factor is 10. If you got that all on your own, 3 gold coins for you. Now that we've talked about factors, the next thing that we're going to talk about is multiples. Whenever we're thinking about multiples, right, multiples sounds like multiply, and I want you to think of multiplication. So go ahead and put a multiplication mark there. Factors, we think of division. Multiples, we think of multiply. Because the multiples of a number are all the numbers that a number can multiply up to. So for example, the multiples of 8 are, well, I think, what are all the numbers that I can multiply 8 up to? 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 6 is 48, and so on and so on. Every number has an infinite number of multiples. That means it goes on and on forever. Because we can just keep going adding 8 to each of these, and it goes on, and those are all the multiples. A least common multiple is the lowest multiple that is shared by a set of numbers. So unlike the greatest common factor, the least common multiple is you're looking for the lowest number. Here's how we can do that. Example, what is the least common multiple of 12 and 18? Step number 1 is list the first 5 multiples of each number. Sometimes you might have to list more than 5, but in this example, we're going to just list 5. And actually, you know what? Sorry about this. I think it's easier for multiples to list them going down instead of going across. If you want to list it across, you can. I think it's easier to list them down. So the multiples of 12, 12 times 1 is, 12. 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 3 is 36. Right? And the reason why it's easier to list it down is if you want to just add up 12 each time, you can also do that too, right? 36 plus 12 is going to be 8 and a 4 here. 48 plus 12, I have a 0 here and a 6 here. Right? These are the first 5 multiples of 12. And I could keep going on if I need to, but for now let's just do 5. Now let's look at the multiples of 18. 18 times 1 is 18. 18 times 2 is 36, right? Or you can just add 18 each time, right? 36 plus another 18. I'm going to have 4 and a 5 here, right? Plus another 18. I'm going to have a 2 and a 7. Plus another 18, or 18 times 5 now. It's going to be 0 and a 9, 90. So these are the first 5 multiples of 18. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is we're going to circle all the common multiples. So I look, are there any common numbers that are shared for 12 that I also have for 18? 24, nope, 36. Oh, I have a 36 here and a 36 here. 48, no, 54, 72, 60, 90. Okay. In this case, the only the common multiple I have is 36. In some cases, you'll have more than one common multiple in your lists, and you just pick the lowest one. So we're going to put a square around the least common multiple. In this case, it's this one right here, 36. So my LCM, right, which is my lowest common multiple, my LCM among these two numbers is 36. Now that we've done this one as a class, where it says, now you try, you guessed it, you're going to try this one right here on your own. Find the least common multiple of 9 and 15. List the multiples of each of these numbers and find the lowest one that is there for both. So let's pause, finish this one on your own, go. Now you've paused and you're resuming the video on your own to check your work. Our numbers are 9 and 15. 9 here, 15 here. Let's list the multiples. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times 5 is 45. Let's check out 15. 15 times 1 is 15. 15 times 2 is 30. 15 times 3 is 45. 15 times 4 is 60. Right? Or you can just add 15 each time. 60 plus 15 is 75. Those are the first 5 multiples of 15. Circle any common multiples. Well, in this case, it looks like the only common multiple that I see so far is 45. And then if put a box around the lowest one, in this case there's just one common multiple, which is still the lowest, and it's 45. When you are listing your multiples, you don't always have to list out 5. Sometimes you have to list out more than 5 before you see a common one. Or sometimes I might do these 5 first, and I might be doing this one, and if I get to 45, I can just stop there. So my lowest common multiple is 45 among 9 and 15. All right, and with that,
thank you so much for playing my game.